Hi there, let's take a look at Macbeth Act 1. So here's a quick summary of what happens in Act 1, Scene 3. Firstly, the witches reappear. The scene begins with thunder again as the witches return to the stage. The first witch tells a story about how a sailor's wife refused to give her chestnuts. She plans to torture her husband. This shows the powers that the witches have and how wicked they are. They cast a charm when they hear Macbeth and Banquo coming. Let's have a look at the witches' 3 prophecies. The witches then greet Macbeth. The first witch calls him the Thane of Glamis, which he is. The second calls him the Thane of Cawdor, which the audience knows is true, but which hasn't been revealed to Macbeth. This is the first prophecy. He will be king, which is the second prophecy. All hail Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter. Listen to that, that is a quote. Banquo is told that even though he is lesser, quote, lower in status, lesser being the quote, so lower in status than Macbeth, he will be greater, another quote, because he shall get kings, which is a third prophecy, and that's another quote, shalt get kings. This means that his children will be kings. So Macbeth learns he is the Thane of Cawdor. Macbeth orders the witches to explain, but they vanish. This shows the audience that Macbeth can control them. Does this moment represent that Macbeth also has no power and control over his own fate? So really consider. Ross and Angus arrive. Ross tells Macbeth that he's been given the title Thane of Cawdor. Then there Macbeth has an aside. He has a private debate with himself. He is torn. On the one hand, what the witches have said is good because he's now Thane of Cawdor. But he was afraid that something would have to happen to King Duncan for him to become king. Finally, Macbeth makes a decision. He decides that if fate has decided he will be king, he can become king without doing anything. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir. So that's a quote. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir. Macbeth decides he will ride to see the king. So let's have a quick recap of that. What does the following quote from Act 1, Scene 1 show Macbeth had decided? If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir? Is the answer, he would plot with his wife to murder Duncan? The prophecy about him becoming king was false. He won't take any action to become king, or he will murder Duncan to become king. The correct answer is, he won't take any action to become king. Now let's just give a quick summary of the events that happened in this scene. Firstly, the witches return to the stage. The first witch says he plans to torture a sailor after his wife refused to give her chestnuts. Secondly, the witches greet Macbeth. The first witch calls him Thane of Glamis, the second calls him Thane of Cawdor, and the third says he will be king. Third, Banquo is told that even though he is lesser, so lower in status than Macbeth, he will be greater, because he shall get kings. This means that his children will be kings. Fourth, Ross and Angus arrive. Ross tells Macbeth that he's been given the title Thane of Cawdor. Fifth, Macbeth has a private debate with himself. He is torn. On the one hand, what the witch has said is good because he's now Thane of Cawdor, but he is afraid that something would have to happen to King Duncan for him to become king. And sixth, Macbeth decides that if fate has decided he will be king, he can become king without doing anything. He decides to ride and see the king. Let's look at the key quotes from Act 1, Scene 3. So Macbeth says, "So fair and foul a day I have not seen." Macbeth enters the stage for the first time in this scene. This is his first line of the play. This is important because it shows that he knows about the trouble in nature. Things are mixed up and strange. This foreshadows something, which indicates something in the future, which is the conflict that will happen soon. This could also show how Macbeth's personality and feelings are mixed, and that the play will show his true nature. Macbeth also says, "Doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart not cut my ribs, against the use of nature." Macbeth says this in an aside. An aside is a conversation to himself. Macbeth feels afraid because something would have to happen to King Duncan for him to become king. He might even have to harm King Duncan. At this point in the play, he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to harm King Duncan, as he recognises the divine right to kings, knowing that King Duncan was chosen by God to rule Scotland. He also feels a sense of loyalty to his friend. And Banquo says, "Oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths." Macbeth speaks to Banquo and asks him whether he now hopes that his children might become kings. Banquo seems to be cautious. The metaphor here suggests that he thinks the witches might be evil and they might be using their ability to hurt Macbeth and Banquo. He is less willing to believe their prophecies, viewing them as evil creatures with dark intentions. Now Macbeth says, Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. Macbeth speaks to himself and the audience. His use of greatest shows that the thing he places the most value on, the possibility of being king, is still yet to come. His path to it is behind closed doors and not yet revealed, but he feels that it could become actually a reality. And Banquo. What? Can the devil speak true? This suggests that he knows there are supernatural things, such as the witches, are evil, and so is surprised that evil forces are able to tell the truth. Before this moment, he'd almost dismissed their claims as lies. This revelation, that one of their prophecies is true, opens possibilities to Macbeth. He starts to consider their claim that he could actually be king one day. Is this moment the start of his downfall? Have a think about that. So let's just have a look at one of the key quotes. Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. This is said by Macbeth. Greatest, the thing he places most value on, the possibility of being king, is still yet to come. Behind. His path to becoming king is behind closed doors, not yet revealed, but he feels it actually become a reality. Here are some key quotes to remember from Macbeth and Banquo. Instruments of darkness. Oftentimes to win us our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths. So fair and foul a day I have not seen. What? Can the devil speak true? Doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart knock at my ribs, against the use of nature. Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. His path to becoming king is behind closed doors and not yet revealed, but he feels that it could actually become a reality. So, which quotes show the witch's three prophecies? Act 1, Scene 3. The second prophecy about Macbeth. All hail King Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter. The first prophecy. But the audience knows Macbeth already has this title, but this has not yet been revealed to Macbeth. Thane of Cawdor. And prophecy about Banquo, thou shalt get king. And let's just quickly go over all the key quotes from Macbeth and Banquo in Act 1, Scene 3. So fair and foul a day I have not seen. Doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart knock at my ribs, against the use of nature. What? Can the devil speak true? Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. Oftentimes to win us our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths. So which of these quotes suggests that Banquo thinks the witches are evil? Is it oftentimes to win us our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths? And what can the devil speak true? So he describes him as the devil and instruments of darkness. What title does Macbeth learn he has received in Act 1, Scene 3? Is it Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, King, or Thane of Cheddar? Well, he's already Thane of Glamis. He becomes Thane of Cawdor and is not yet king. And Thane of Cheddar is not a character. So let's do some key quotes from Macbeth from Act 1, Scene 3. This is Macbeth's first line on stage. It shows he knows about the trouble in nature and foreshadows the conflict that will soon happen. This quote is, so fair and foul a day I have not seen. Then at this point in the play, Macbeth does not want to harm King Duncan. He recognises the divine right of kings, knowing that King Duncan was chosen by God to rule Scotland. And the quote that's associated with this is, doth unfix my hair, and make my seated heart knock my ribs against the use of nature. And finally, Glamis and Thane of Cawdor, the greatest is behind. His use of greatest shows that the thing he places most value on, the possibility of being king, is still yet to come. His path to it is behind closed doors and not yet revealed. He feels that it could actually become a reality.